Hello, and welcome to my channel. My name is Jonathan Cohn, and today I have my TBR for the month of January 2025. Yes, I have 11 novels and one manga to read in January 2025. One of my goals of 2025 is to read one manga or comic thing a month, just to try to get into new types of reading, new formats. And then also, I have 11 novels. I'm reading some science fiction. I'm reading fantasy. I'm reading self-pub. I'm trying to read about one self-pub a month. I'm trying to read Star Wars and Star Trek. I got some legal thriller. I got a short story collection. I got a lot on the plate for January. In December, I was like, let's just do all the long books. And I have a few mid-length books, but nothing long this month. This month, I'm focusing on some shorter books that I just want to read through, and I'm very excited for a lot of these. I'm starting a lot of series because I wrapped up a bunch in December. So I'm starting a bunch of new series and reading a ton of standalones this month. So let's start out with the first book. First, I'll talk about the one Star Wars book for the month is Star Wars MedStar 1 Battle Surgeons, the first book in the MedStar duology. This is part of my journey to have read the entire Star Wars expanded universe. I'm very excited because one of my friends, who is a Twitter user who is a big Star Wars EU reader, his name's Nazo, he tells me that this is his favorite Clone Wars story, and so I was very excited to get to this, and I have book 2 that I'll read in February. So I hope I really enjoy it, and it's a nice short read. I also plan to read one Star Trek book in January, and that's going to be Star Trek Gateways Book 1. It's called One Small Step by Susan Wright. This is the start of the Gateways series. I'm actually reading the Gateways series for the Star Trek podcast I'm on, which is Literary Treks. So I'll do my spoiler-free video like I normally do here, and then Casey and I, who run Literary Treks for Trek FM, we will go full spoilers for this once we've read it. And this is also a very short book, so it'll be a nice, quick read. Now, one of the more mid-length books is starting another series that I'm very excited about, which is Requiem for the Sun, which is the first book in the second part of the Symphony of Ages. The Symphony of Ages was originally like an initial trilogy that had Rhapsody and Prophecy and Destiny, and I loved books 1 and 3. Book 2 was good, but books 1 and 3 were amazing, and I love those books, and so I'm really excited to get into Requiem for the Sun. It's about 500 pages, 550 pages long, so it's not crazy long, but it's probably, I think, the longest book on the list for this month, and it's one of my fantasy books, and if it's anything like the other books, I'm probably really going to enjoy it, and so I plan to read books 2 and 3 after, eventually. All right. The next book on the list that I'm going to read is Back to the Moon by Travis S. Taylor and Les Johnson. I'm friends with Les Johnson. He's a great guy. He does a lot of the NASA stuff. He actually works at NASA, and he writes a lot of hard sci-fi, talking about space exploration, and this is the first in a duology that they wrote. They wrote the books Back to the Moon and Onto the Asteroid, and I plan to read Onto the Asteroid next month. But this is a book of theirs that I've been really eager to get to, and I think Les is a great author. So this is like that brand. I'm not reading a Ben Bova book this month, so this is kind of taking that place. I wanted to take a short break from Ben Bova, and then maybe I'll go back to him maybe in a couple months. But I'm very excited to read Back to the Moon. And this is about 350 pages, so it's not that long. I also plan to read a legal thriller this month, and that's going to be John Grisham's The Confession. This is another legal thriller from him. I go in blind into his legal thrillers, which is funny because you have Lady Justice is blind in this. I go blind into his books because I don't really need to know what's happening. It's a John Grisham book. I'm probably going to enjoy it. So I'm very excited to see whether or not I enjoy The Confession or not. And I actually really like this cover for it. So yeah, this one's about 500 pages, but a John Grisham book will fly by. His books always do. The next book I'm going to read is an indie book. It's a self-published book, or at least indie pub, if it is published by a publisher, and that is Falling into Oblivion by Aaron M. Payne. Aaron is actually a friend of mine. We've done a few YouTube videos. He does the YouTube channel Bibliotheory. This is kind of a steampunk science fiction book that he wrote, and it's also pretty short. It's only about 300 pages, and he sent it to me, a copy, so that I could review it, and I'm very excited to see if I enjoy it, and hopefully see what other writing that Aaron is able to write. I also don't know too much about this. I know the little blurb that he sent me about it, but other than that, I'll also be going in blind here. Now, I've been delving into historical fiction recently. I read 3 Ken Follett behemoths with his Pillars of the Earth and World Without End and the Column of Fire. I'm going to read some more historical fiction at the start of the year, but I'm not going to start with the big behemoths. I'm going to read a series that has shorter books, but has a bunch of books in it, and that is the Accursed Kings series, starting with The Iron King by Maurice Druon. This is touted as the original Game of Thrones by George Martin. This is talking about one of the French wars, French civil wars that happened over some families that wanted power, and it is apparently very Game of Thrones-like in its political storyline, and it's got a lot of historical stuff to it. It's got maps. I'm so excited for this. I heard YouTubers like Red Fury Reviews talk about how much he loves this series, and so I have the first 5 books, so I'm at least going to give book 1 a chance and see what it's like. But I'm super pumped. I think this is going to be a great book. I also have a short story collection on the list for this month, and that is Sands of Dune from Brian Herbert and Kevin J. Anderson. This is, just some short stories and maybe a novella from their series. I have another trilogy. I have the Butlerian Jihad trilogy, but I don't want to read that until I've read this, because I was like, I want to do a short, like a short Dune book, real quick in between. And this one has 4 stories. It's about 160 pages, so I'll try to read this in like a day or so. And I really enjoy Brian and Kevin's books. I know not everyone does. They just work for me really well. They're really entertaining to me. I love their style, so I'm very excited to give this one a chance. Oh, and I did, by the way, I haven't shown off all the ones that I've signed because that'd take forever, but I did get this one signed by Kevin, so I'm very excited to get to that one. I also have a very left field book on the list this month, and that is, I hope I pronounce it right, Shagi and the Brass Head of Obolon. I don't know how to pronounce that correctly if I did. It's a novel by Wool Talabi. Now, I picked this up because 2 friends of mine recommended it. One friend is Sean C.W. Korsgaard, who is a author, editor. He writes short stories and he edits short story collections. And I also was recommended by another author named Joelle Presby. Joelle actually talked to me and she said she thinks I would enjoy this, and this is a friend of hers. And so I was like, you know what, I will pick up the book, and I've had it on my shelves for about 6 months now, and I feel bad that I have not been able to give it a try, but I am going to read it. It's apparently very inspired by African mythology, but I'm curious to see. At least it's a short book, so we'll see how it goes, but I'm very curious to see. Maybe this will open up a brand new branch of fantasy for me. So yeah, I'll read this one. I also plan to read what is potentially going to be the first book in a series. I don't know if it's going to be the first book in a series. We'll see. But that is Jacob Hollow's Freelancers of Neptune, the first book in the proposed Soul Blazers series. This is from Baen. I met Jacob at LibertyCon, and he was great. He's so fun to talk to, and he's so interesting, and I really liked getting to meet him. And his wife is also very, very fun to meet, H.P. Hollow. And he's done a lot of work with David Weber, but this is his Baen starting point. This is his new original series, and he pitches it as Firefly meets, and I'm trying to remember what it said. Oh, Ringworld. Firefly meets Ringworld. And so I'm curious to see what it is. It's a short book, but I try to give some new authors, new potential new favorites. And so meeting him was really nice, so I plan to read this one. the last novel I have to read is another novel by one of my favorite authors, Timothy Zahn, and that is his standalone novel, The Green and the Gray. My previous year, 2024, has been dominated by the Icarus Saga and another new release, which was his Cloaked Deception. And I want to read more Timothy Zahn because I have a lot on my shelves to get to. And so I bought this at DragonCon from Tim, and everyone says it's a pretty good novel. It's one of the longer books I'll read this month. In hardcover, it's like 450 pages, which means in mass market it'd probably be about 500 something. But I trust him. I've read a bunch of books by him that I love, so I'm very interested to see. I think this is another science fiction thriller. We'll see what it's like. All right. I teased a manga. I saved it for last. I'm starting a manga. I have I've been buying this series in 3 volume bindups. So I purchased One Piece East Blue, the volumes 1 through 3. So I've been buying I have volumes 1 through 3, 4 through 6, 7 through 9, and 10 through 12. And I believe East Blue goes through 13 through 15 as well. So I do plan to get those. And I plan to try to read East Blue in 2025 over the course of the year. And if I enjoy it, I'll continue on. And if not, we'll see what happens. I have other series I intend to read as well. But this is a series that comes highly recommended by a lot of people. I've heard that the TV show, both the anime and the live action, are a lot of fun. And I have some friends who are big manga readers, and they're like, it's still a good medium. So I'm like, I'll give it a shot. So that'll be my first manga read of 2025. And this is something that I anticipate to take a day or so. Nice quick read. So that is my reading plans for January 2025. It's a lot of books. Like, saying I'm planning to read 12 books in January is daunting. The page count is probably about what my average page count is, because these are shorter books. I do plan to continue on some other series I'm in the middle of sometime during this 2025. I plan to finish some series I'm in the middle of. I plan to start some other new series once I wrap up some of these. But there's a couple duologies in here and a bunch of standalones, so I'll be able to continue on with more books. But that is my January TBR. If you've read any of these, let me know your thoughts in the comments section down below. I have no new releases. This is my first month in probably a year, and probably the only month that I will have no new releases for 2025. This is the only month currently with no books scheduled. So I am taking the opportunity to read a lot of stuff on my shelves. So if you've read any of these, let me know your thoughts. And until next time, I'm Jonathan, and thank you for watching.